Most guys who reach out to me have started training on their own, or maybe have been training for many, many years. They've run various programs. Maybe that's starting strength multiple times, or any number of popular intermediate type programs. Maybe they've even worked with a coach or in person coaches and have never been able to find the right fit. Now, the thing is a lot of the info that I give as a coach is available for free online, or you can buy like the Starting Strength book for $20 on Amazon, and it can tell you exactly what to do. But what it can't tell you is whether you're actually doing your training right and when to make changes to your programming as you advance. And then it also can't help guide, hold you accountable, and give you a full picture of your progress as you go. So before we meet for our consultation, or if you're seeing this and you are thinking about applying to work with me, I want to walk you through exactly what online coaching looks like so you know what you're getting into before we ever even talk. I use an online coaching software called Turnkey Coach, and I have pulled up one of my clients who's been with me for around a year to give you an idea of what the online coaching actually looks like. So you can see my guy Gene here. He has been training with me as a 56-year-old guy in his garage for the last year. And he has transitioned from a starting strength novice linear progression. And we transitioned him out of that into a heavy, light, medium type split. And then, due to some scheduling things and him just feeling the strain of training heavy and long 3 days a week, we have recently switched him into an upper lower split, where we are now getting into cycling of intensities and volumes and introducing various lifts, like for instance here, his deficit deadlift, his close grip bench. He is doing pause squats, as well as we have added in some conditioning. So you can see just in that year-long process that we have morphed his program into something that matches his life and matches his level of training advancement. Okay, so now through that process, this is not just a situation where I give you a week of programming, say good luck, and then I check in with you maybe once a week, maybe every couple of weeks to kind of see how things are going. This is a very high touch coaching experience on both of our ends. So the way this works is Gene here submitted a workout. This is Thursday last week of June 11th, where he set a 405-pound deadlift PR after a year of training at 56 years old. So what you guys do is upload the last working set of your lifts. In the initial stages, if there's a lot of form things going on, then I will have you film multiple sets from different angles so I can get a very clear picture. Now, what video review allows us to do on both of our ends? Let's talk about what this does for you. When you're training by yourself, or you even have an in-person coach, but when you're training by yourself, all you have to go on is how it felt under the bar. And if you've ever filmed yourself lifting, sometimes you'll film a set and it'll be like it felt like the heaviest thing possible, but then you go back and look at the video and you saw that it was actually moving pretty well. So you don't actually have a feel when it's just you training. You don't actually have a feel for what is going on with your form. You don't actually have a feel, for the difficulty level. You don't have an idea of during the set if there was some technical error that was making it more difficult than it needed to be. Okay. So by adding the film in, you can now see yourself lifting and you can compare that to the experience of actually lifting it. Okay. So already just by filming your lifts, you're better off than just training and not filming your lifts and then going on from there. Now you add another element to this, which is you have now experienced the lift under the bar. Then you have watched yourself do it. And now you're getting feedback from me on the form and instruction on the form based on what I'm seeing. So now you have a completed loop. You have what you have felt under the bar, the changes maybe you were trying to make, the bar speed. You have yourself seeing what is going on. And now you have me talking about it there. And it fully completes this loop and it ends up being a better, more intensive service for you as a lifter versus just having an in-person coach, because then you're missing the middle part of the loop, which is you seeing what you're doing, comparing it to how it felt, and then you seeing and internalizing the changes that I'm making. So this is how we do that. So Gene here, he had some pause squats. There was no issues on this lift. And then the feedback here on his deadlift, here's a 405 deadlift, is he didn't quite get all the slack out of the bar before he went to tug on it. See how he kind of rolled into it and then he met all that weight. The feedback on those heavy singles was to really be a little bit more patient and setting that back and then pushing once you've taken all the slack out was kind of the cue there. However, it was still a great PR and we're able to track that. So then I use the information from seeing what your lifts look like, seeing the changes that you're making based on the instruction and the cues that I'm giving. And I use that to assign loading calls. So this is how during the starting strength NLP, I can decide, okay, his deadlifts are starting to get a little bit heavy. Now it's time to add power cleans. Okay, now the deadlifts are getting heavy, even though we're doing them every other week. It's time to add chin-ups. Okay, now we need to deadlift every 5th session. Okay, now we just barely grinded that one last out. It's time to add a rack pull. Meanwhile, we can be looking at the squats and saying, okay, we're making 5-pound jump 3 times a week. Okay, we need to add a light day based on how Friday's session is going. Okay, now we need to go top sets and back offs. Okay, now we need to go heavy, light, medium. And I talk you through this process as we go. And once you get to the end stages of that, I discuss how we're going to transition you into intermediate programming, whether that is a 3-day upper lower, whether that is an upper lower split. And then we start out linearly with that and then transition you into 3-day cycles, 3-week cycles, or we transition you into maybe longer cycles as you go. I've got a lot of guys that are now doing 6, 7, 8-week cycles where you're basically doing heavy, light, medium, Texas method type stress of heavy weeks, light weeks, medium weeks, and building over the course of a few months that way. So what I'm getting at is we get you in here initially, and based on how your lifts are going, I can see the progress. You can see and get instruction from me as we go forward here. So this is a lot more intensive than you just getting a spreadsheet and a WhatsApp messenger that I may or may not respond to. On top of that, we can track trends in your tonnage, in your volume, in your intensity, in your frequency. We can track all of the PRs here at the same time. It's filtered by exercise. So you can get a good picture of your progress. When stuff is getting hard, you're struggling, you can always go back and see where did you start versus where are you now. So his 1 rep max of 345 on the squat. We can add the deadlift here and say, there's his 405, right? And we can even go in and see trends, a trend line of here's his tonnage over time. Here is his PRs for all-time PRs for his deadlift over time for the 5 rep max. You can see that tracking up. We can add the squat. And we can see over the course of about a year, last September to now, you can see his squat and deadlift have gone up from his deadlift was 185 pounds back in September, and it is now 370 for a set of 5. And he has tweaked his 1 rep max all the way up to 405 over the course of that year, transitioning through those phases. So, this is all stuff that helps us avoid what guys usually miss on their own. It's very rarely is it, just like the specific cues, it's or the program that's the problem. It's just not having somebody watching you when things get heavy, when your form starts to break down, or when you start stalling and you don't know how to push through, when to deload or change the program, or your life changes and you need help making adjustments to keep pushing progress. So this is all stuff that's really impossible to self-diagnose because if you're on your own, because you're just doing it for yourself. So that's exactly what I'm here That's exactly what I'm doing for you here. So, not just telling you what to do, but making the calls in real time. And I'm showing it to you right there on the screen so you can know exactly what's coming up. So, a lot of guys hear that filming your lifts and, picture filming your entire workout. Like they sometimes when I say video review, they'll actually think that I'm going to watch their entire workout. Right. And it's like, I don't want to carry a camera around for an hour and a half while I'm doing it. And that's not exactly at all it is. Basically, you're going to film one set per exercise, the heaviest working set. And it's basically when you are under a little bit of fatigue from your previous working sets, or it's the one that matters going forward. So there's just a few quick clips that you're going to have to do every single time when you go to log your workouts. So that's the full picture of online coaching. We build your program based on your training level, your advancement, what your form looks like, and we build it out and continue progressing so you keep moving up. You get feedback on every single lift of every single session, and I make the calls right there for you to be able to see why we're progressing and how we're going to progress you going forward. So, if this is what you're looking for, I would look forward to chatting with you on the consultation call to dive in deeper on how specifically it would work for your situation. Talk soon.